It's wide and true. We've got stories to share and chores to do. Marriage and mayhem under the sky so blue. Welcome to the good life. We'll pull you through. Rural Roots.
Welcome back to Rural Roots and Cowboy Boots, where marriage, mayhem, and manure all meet on the back roads of real life.
Today we're going from the wide open yonder of Yellowstone to the front porches and main streets of rural America.
It's about beauty, growth, prosperity, and what it means to leave something better.
So, we skipped a week last week.
We did skip a week last week.
Why did we skip a week last week?
Because we're technological and challenged.
Okay, tell me more. What happened?
I had to be in Montana all week.
You had to be in Montana all week.
And there was absolutely no way to figure out how to do a one person one place and one person another place. Not yet.
We talked about it. We thought about it, but
right.
it didn't manifest itself, and so we had to get into the same place at the same time.
Yep.
And we did that.
We did. And so, so I had to be in Montana all week, and right quick, the rental car companies don't know I'm not flagged in the rental car companies. But
you're about to be.
Yeah, I'm about to be. One more, I think there'll be a pattern.
Okay.
But anyhow, so had to be in Montana, and you've always wanted to go to Montana.
Always.
You've always been around Montana. And so anyhow, we utilized Labor Day weekend and the rental car, God knows.
So
money does buy happiness, by the way.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
So to clarify about the rental car piece of it is when Patrick was sitting in North Carolina, he said he was going to do dealer's choice for the car.
Because I'm cheap.
Because it was cheap. And what happened was the dealer decided that this man here needed to be given a 2025 Denali, fully equipped, whatever, just for him in Montana.
Right.
And so, because the rental place gods, if you will, blessed him with such a nice vehicle, he decided to challenge said vehicle and took on Montana. And so I decided to join him in Montana because I had never been.
Right.
And so that's how we took advantage of Labor Day weekend and
right.
Those
so
things.
You flew on out Friday.
Right.
And we went to Glacier.
We went to Glacier National Park.
Yeah. And
and then we ended up
me and that grizzly needs to have a conversation because he failed his job.
Yeah, we saw pretty much all of the animals in Glacier National Park, including a grizzly bear. As we were walking, the bear is crossing us, and I immediately want to turn around because I am scared of everything. And Patrick said, no, we can keep going.
And we did.
And we did.
And you were successful. You're still alive.
Much to your demise.
Right.
That's it.
So, and then we left Glacier, and then we went to Yellowstone.
We went to Yellowstone.
And that was so awesome.
I have to agree. I agree. You were a little nervous because you felt like Yellowstone was...
It's overwhelming.
And that Patrick was like, it did not
plan.
It did not feel whatever to him.
But it worked out.
It worked out.
Because of the Denali.
Because of the Denali. And we were able to do car camping. And...
So, for all you tightwads out there, we have a support group. Let me give you a little suggestion in life. Fly to wherever, rent a Denali or a full-size vehicle, go to Walmart, buy a queen-size air mattress. It fits in the back. And guess what? No hotel rooms.
Mm-hmm.
We had an eighth of a cost in this setup for what one night was going to cost us.
Absolutely. And it was wonderful.
Wonderful.
And we had amazing experiences. We had all of the things. And So yeah, like we had a great time, but what we did not have while we were in Montana was internet.
Right.
And so we had these great ideas about how we were going to broadcast and share and do all of those things, and none of that manifested.
And it drove the kids nuts, by the way.
Drove a lot, because we are very much the safety police, and let us know where you are, check in where you are, where you're going, and none of that was an option for us when we were traveling in Montana. And quite honestly, we ended up in some pretty shady places, and but that's okay. It was an adventure. Right.
But it was awesome that, with car camping, wherever you want to see and be, just pull over and whoop out the mattress, and that's it.
Absolutely.
And so, like the first night, we went and we stopped along the Yellowstone River and sat there with a sub, a box of wine, and the elk.
I was going to say, we've been together for a long time. And I said to you when we were sitting there, that was probably my favorite date that we have had.
Right.
We were sitting on just a log in the middle of Yellowstone. And you're exactly right. We had a box of wine. We had a sub sandwich that was pre-made by some gas station.
Right.
We split in half, and you had been fly fishing before, so I was taking your picture and doing that, and the elk came, and the sunset over the lake, and it was just it was very, very zen.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so and then the second night
second night was a little bit more adventurous.
Right. So the idea was that we were in a different valley. It was right at the edge of dark, in that we were going to see where the different herds of bison had bedded down, and then see which one was closest to the river, because I was planning on getting up and going fishing in the morning. And anyhow, settled on a place. You said it was perfect.
And it was. It was perfect.
Was perfect. Oh, it's perfect, all right. Perfect almost died.
Yeah, so Patrick had the back to the Denali open, and we were going to crawl in and get settled in for the night, and I was at the front, and I heard something, but I wasn't sure what I heard because it was pitch black. We were in the middle of Yellowstone. There was nothing, and it was not a full moon. And I heard something, and I looked in the back, and I saw Patrick had his phone, and he was kind of shining his phone. I thought he was taking a picture of the moon. Mm-hmm. And so I went to the back of the Denali, and I was the rental car, and I was looking, and all of a sudden I hear boo, and that's pretty much what it sounded like, a herd of bison.
Within 10 feet of us.
Absolutely. And I could see the shadows of the bison running across of us. So I took off, and I went back to the front, and I'm like, I'm scared. I'm thinking I'm going to get trampled on by a stampede. Here's Patrick still recording, and a car came by and shone light into the gravity of our situation.
There was a lot of them.
And what was the gravity of our situation?
There was a lot of them, and they were all around us, and they were coming up, and they're going. Anyhow, there was a lot.
Yeah, we were literally in the middle of a herd of bison, standing, and could have reached out and touched them. And again, in our course of a day, we had talked all day long about the stupid people that get close to wildlife, and how stupid they are, and and we were not going to be those people, and we inadvertently were those people in the middle of the night.
Right. Well, Yellowstone isn't just a park, though. It's a living classroom. All the geysers, all the wilderness, all the the interactions of the animals, and it's overwhelming, and it's amazing at the same time. And so but we were able to just be there in school at all times while we're in the park.
I And I agree. And one of the things that I said to you repeatedly was I didn't pay enough attention in school. And, I kept saying, like, I didn't realize how dependent I was on Google or, some kind of something, because we would look at something and we were like, what is that? How we know it's cool, but what does that mean? And, I feel like we're pretty educated. I feel like, I've taken a lot of classes in school, including a geology class in college. But I did not understand the geology conversation.
What was the class name?
It was called Rocks for Jocks. When I was there, years and years and years ago, I am no disrespect to any geologists that are out there, because quite honestly, it is a very cool conversation. I just did not understand. And I think it goes back to what you were saying about the world, and Yellowstone is a living classroom. And if somebody would have told me in my rural eastern North Carolina education that one day I would go and visit Yellowstone and share with me why this is cool and why this matters to me, I might would have paid attention a little bit more.
A little bit more?
Might.
But that goes back, and it's rather funny, like when the kids were little, well, not when they were little, and I did this to both of the kids when they entered in the summer between their 8th grade and 9th grade year.
Okay.
I made them read a book. Patrick, made our kids read a book.
And for the record, it is a book that Amy still has not read.
Right, but it's called Sand County Almanac, and it was written by Leopold.
Okay.
And it's about the sand counties of Wisconsin. And Leopold, who is a naturalist, and conservationist, he took time out and just journaled. Every day he journaled. This is the weather. This was where I'm at, and this is what I saw. And then, like, he kind of put observations together. And the purpose of it, the reason why I did that with our kids, was I wanted them to, going into high school, it isn't about reading, writing, and arithmetic only. It's also about getting to know your surroundings, like broadening your horizons, open your eyes. And so, but that's what, like, Yellowstone was just a classic example of what this all means, of how all this interaction, how these, I got to looking at, like, just how the bison were grazing. And I'm amazed that such a desolate land could grow such magnificent animals.
I agree.
But then I got thinking about it. You remember we were talking about it. I was like, I wonder if there's a grazing pattern here. And I think I figured out the grazing pattern is the wolves that come in. The bison are here. The wolves come in. The bison leave. And so, that kind of what Leopold was saying, is that there's interactions and there's observations, and it's putting the two of them together.
Well, and even I've been to Africa, I've been on safari, but being in Yellowstone was a completely different experience. And I remember asking you, I said, okay, if the lion is the king of the jungle, who or what is the king of Yellowstone? And had you asked me before I actually visited, I would have said the grizzly bear, right? Mm-mm. But after experiencing all of that and seeing ecology and nature and witnessing it, not just in a snapshot version on the road, but like sleeping there in the middle of the park at night and all those things, we determined that really what's the wolf is actually the driving force of a lot of what's happening in Yellowstone. And again, for us in the cattle industry, that started a whole different conversation and a chain reaction of things that, again, I did not understand before I actually saw it. And so that was cool, and just how everything plays a role in keeping the ecosystem alive.
Right. Right. So, yeah, so we had a great weekend. And Yellowstone did remind us, though, that wild places aren't just a backdrop, they're a teacher.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are, the best kinds of teachers, or those, hands-on kind of learning places and all of that. And so whether you're reading the book or getting out and exploring the world, I definitely think that there's something to be said for, paying attention to nature's classroom.
Right. So, while we're in Yellowstone, you look off into the east, and there was this orange glow over the horizon. We're like, what the hell? And then we come out, we got into you have an internet, and we figured out Edgecombe County was on fire this past week. Yeah. Holy cow.
Yeah, there was a big conversation that we didn't really anticipate going into. I mean, we'd heard a little bit about, but we didn't anticipate the divisions and all of that. And that's about what?
Data centers now.
Data centers. Okay, tell me, first of all, what is a data center?
So a data center is a collection point. Like every time you're doing a Google search or AI or whatever, right? Facebook, it's just a bank of servers, and it's where they're storing all this data. How do I kill my husband without anybody knowing? That would go into a data center.
Okay.
Right? And so there's a proposal in our county to have 3 data centers be installed.
Okay. And so, again, we can talk about the pros and cons of the data center, but honestly, it's a new concept. It's a new thing.
Right.
And it's something that a lot of people don't understand.
No, and it was not implied. It was actually stated. Utilities has been gas and electricity. Data centers the new utility. That's what this is. And then the question's got to be asked for Redneck USA is, do we want the data center to be in China, or do we want it in the United States? And if it's going to be in the United States, where are we going to put it at? And so, anyhow, it's not saying I'm pro or against data centers. It's just rural areas are now attracting big investments, and it's these new things. We had, like, just today, we had a conversation with somebody, teacher, and she's like, yeah, I got to do my lesson plans. And I'm like, do lesson plans? ChatGPT that thing. She said, I know nothing about it.
Right.
And so, but we got, it's about these new investments coming in. And the question is, are we ready for it? Are we ready for it? Are we ready as a community? And then if we are or aren't, how do we make sure that growth aligns with our values?
Right. I mean, and again, we had very different upbringings, even though we have very similar morals and values, in the sense that you traveled growing up. I mean, I have lived on the same dirt road my entire life, and except for just a few times in our marriage where we traveled outside of that. But again, like, we won't, when I say we, I'm speaking for my community because I feel like I can do that. We won't progress, and we want innovation, and we want a lot of these things to happen, but we don't want to lose our identity. And you said something earlier today that just kind of struck me as being very profound.
Growth without roots feels like an invasion. Growth with roots feels like prosperity.
Right. And so it took me a while to process that, because I had to hear it. And I was like, okay, growth without roots feels like invasion. And from somebody who is embedded in our community. I mean, I was born in our community hospital. My mom was born in, our community hospital. My dad, we live on almost a bicentennial farm. This is my community. And so growth without roots, growth without any kind of context or people who are tied to what we're saying, feels like an invasion.
Right.
Absolutely. Who are you and why do you think you have the right to come into our community and transform, change,
Right.
impact in any way, shape, or form?
But a lot of this is these damn economic development groups that are coming in and that are set up. And you ask, who the director is. They're not from here.
Right.
They're from some big damn city who has some liberal arts degree or what, anyhow, made the inference, and I'm sorry, new era in my life. But it is just, it literally is, these folks don't know who we are.
Right.
And, and that's where the hostility is that it does feel an invasion. We're losing our identity. We had a whole big debate about a subdivision going in the rural part or the southern part of our county.
Right.
The guy is not from Edgecombe County.
Right.
The money is not staying in Edgecombe County.
Right.
The money is not going to be made the money was made in Edgecombe County and immediately go out. And it's an invasion.
Absolutely. And again, anytime you feel like you're being attacked, you immediately go on the defense. And so I feel like that's what our community has done with all of this. It is not that the average citizen in our rural community does not want progress. It's not even that we are necessarily against a housing development or against solar farms or against data centers or any of those things, but it is just what we always used to tell our children. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. And these people have just come in, and these politicians and or what you said, economic developers, have come in and told us why this is a good idea for us without really understanding us.
Right.
If that makes sense.
And what burns me up too, there's a loophole in our ordinances.
Okay.
And these people are exploiting that loophole, number one. But number two, the county commissioners and the town commissioners who know this loophole is there is not fixing. Like, we've known for 8 months that there's a damn loophole where it says that if we have not defined something, that it becomes a special use permit, and then it's a quasi judicial proceeding. And unfortunately, the people, the community members are against whatever. They're coming in, in its opinion. It's not. They're not a situational expert. And because of that, when the damn other people come in, they're bringing in engineers and scientists and lawyers and that the county commissioners and town commissioners have to side with it. It's a losing fight, but they know it, and yet we're not fixing it.
Right. And we know that only because we have made it our business to go to most of the county commissioner meetings and go to a lot, be actively involved in those conversations for the past, 2 years, if you will. And we kept asking why, like, how are we getting here? And you're right. And there is a fix. And so what started as a problem for us, Raleigh, with our legislators in Raleigh, and they identified a kind of a new way of a judicial system, that this special permit system could work, in that they would give it back to the hands of the local leaders, so that it takes it out of Raleigh's hands. Sounds amazing, except that there are laws and barriers, if you will, that the local people need to put in place, and for whatever reason it just hasn't manifested itself. Or let me rephrase that, it's moving, and I do think eventually it will happen. It just isn't happening as fast as what these outside industries are coming in and applying for these special use permits. And once they apply for them, things roll really, really quickly.
But you can build a building in a year, but it takes a generation to build trust.
Right.
And the rate of progress is so fast
Right.
that we're not having that generation of trust.
Right.
But like we had, a lithium battery company was supposed to come to Edgecombe County, which now they're not.
Right.
Then there's a question of how much did we spend to bring them in here, but now they're not. You know, it's all about investment. But then, and a person asked me, they were like, "Why are you so against this?" And I pointed out to them, we don't have lithium in our soil. That means they were going to park this thing right beside the intermode, which means this lithium was going to be bought from somewhere else, transported to us. All they're doing is using us for labor. There is absolutely no investment. Where is the prosperity that is going to come? We need to start looking at what are our resources, what is unique that we can give, and then apply that to the prosperity.
I absolutely agree. And, you know, again, I mean, I think we consider a lot of our legislative elected officials, we consider them friends.
Right.
And we don't think for one second that these people have gotten into these positions or ran these campaigns because of, you know, they don't love our community and don't want what's best for it. But anytime you are chasing a dollar, and a quick dollar, that becomes a challenge. And one of the Amyisms or something that we've said over the years, and that I've kind of figured out, is making money is easy, right? I mean, honest to goodness, all of us could go out, we could get a job, we could make money. But keeping the money that you make is the hard part.
Right.
And so in that same kind of philosophy or same kind of thing, you know, I love our community. Everybody, I want every industry to come to our community. I want every business to come. Bring the lithium batteries, bring on the data centers, bring it because I love it. And you know what? But the same breath of that, you know, we can't invest so much into you getting here that we don't get anything in return.
Right.
And the most valuable thing in our community, I think that a lot of people forget, it's not our land, it's not our water, it's not our school systems, it's not, you know, it's not even our small businesses. It's the people.
Right.
And whenever you stop valuing the people and really listening to what the people want or struggle with, then I think we lose some of that. And unfortunately, I think that's what's happening right now.
Right. It's nasty.
Yeah.
It's nasty. We have a series of town meetings there and county meetings that are going to occur next couple of weeks. And I told a fella, I said, y'all might as well come in with some flak jackets and some nice military hardware helmets because it's going to get, woo!
Right.
It's going, but we have to stop and explain what is a data center. We have to also identify, is it being put in the right spot?
Right.
It's being put, the spots they're chosen is beneficial to the data center because of ease of access to energy.
Right.
But is it in the right spot for our community? Like once you plant something, it's there.
Right.
And it costs more to get rid of it when it leaves out. You know, so it's a scar. You know, we use the term called brownfields.
Okay.
That the brownfield is defined like a Black & Decker, what used to be in Edgecombe County. Actually, it was headquarters in Edgecombe County.
Okay.
And now Black & Decker's gone, but the building's still there.
Okay.
So that's a brownfield. But that's not a brownfield. That's a scar.
Okay.
And how do you heal scars? You got to go through and surgically remove. And we just got to make sure that we're being very, very smart about what it's not about today, it's about tomorrow. I told somebody one time, you know, what I do today is not for me today. Is that, you know, my great-great-grandchildren, I want them being peeing on my grave. You know, it's down the line. I want this legacy to always be here.
Right.
But
Yeah, and just to kind of tie it back together, I mean, if Yellowstone is America's backyard, if rural America and our countrysides are, you know, the thing that's the next frontier in America, then we've got to make sure that we protect the front porches of that, and that we give a voice for the people that are involved. So kind of what, I said earlier was, it's not about making money, it's keeping the money you make. But honest to goodness, prosperity is not just about money. I mean, it's about longevity. It's about whether or not your family can stay rooted in the area and the community that you are vested in. Right.
And that's what, and those are the terms, again, that these economic developers bring in. It's about prosperity. We're bringing money into the communities, and we're going to grow this community. And how many daggone times have we heard that? QVC was all about bringing in these jobs and bringing in these money.
And they did when they were here. And then, unfortunately, a disaster strikes due to no fault of the community. But when they are no longer here,
you're stuck.
Then now you have a building and you have these things, but we still have the same people. And those same people are displaced. And so when we can look at our families and our community and understand what does it mean to make our schools better, not just dollars.
Right.
What does it mean to revitalize downtown?
Right.
Not just in tax dollars.
Right.
What does it mean that we want our children to leave and to be able to see the world, but to come back home, not just in tax dollars?
Preach.
What does that look like?
Right. And so, and that's the definite. That's the piece that we need to get to right now. Right now is that rural America is being bombarded, and we need to define this.
Right.
I didn't mean to cough on you, by the way.
That's okay. I'm used to it.
But anyhow, we need to define it.
Right.
We need to define, and as a community, we need to say, this is what we want to see.
Right.
Now go attract those businesses that are going to bring that to us.
Right. And even in, the groups that have done that, it becomes, okay, well, and again, I'm using some whatever. I'm a real estate developer, so here is the real estate I am trying to develop. So therefore, I am at the conversation, I'm at the table. This is the land I want you to look at. I am a builder. I am a construction company. This is what I specialize in. This is the kind of business or industry I want you to bring into. Right. But what we fail to acknowledge is that there are a lot of, mom and pop, independent, people that are really truly being the backbone of our economy, as well as, and they don't have a seat at the table because they're so busy making a living.
And I'm not, and good example, I'm not a coffee shop person.
Right.
Like, that's not me. But we have a coffee shop downtown, Tarboro.
Right.
And then somebody brought in Starbucks.
Right.
Why didn't we drive the people to the downtown coffee shop? Well, because Starbucks, that money in Starbucks is not staying in Starbucks or staying in Tarboro. That money's going out. It's going to Seattle is where it's going.
And I can agree to some extent. I think there's room for both, personally.
Okay.
Because, quite honestly, where Starbucks is at, it's on a very tourist road to the Outer Banks.
Put in a sign that says, hey, we have our own coffee shop. It isn't Starbucks that's going to be investing into our bands and our FFAs and our sports team.
I'm going to disagree with you.
Okay.
I'm going to disagree with you, and here's why I'm going to disagree with you. I'm a huge supporter of the local coffee shop, hands down. And for my local meetings, for all of those things, I'm going to send the traffic there. but I don't think we have to have an either or mindset. For example, everybody knows that I'm, involved in a school. We have a local bakery. They are wonderful. They do great things. I know every Saturday they donate their leftover supplies to a community pantry that is run by a great community organizer. Wonderful. However, I will also share that we have a new Dunkin' Donuts Dairy Queen thing that just came in, and when I tell you that they have just proven to be a huge partner and incentivizer to our school system, and they have incentivized kids for reading and incentivized teachers and offered a discount card and done some of those things that is going to, hopefully we want them to be successful too. And so, again, I don't think it's an either or mindset in my mind. Okay? So I think we need both. And I think we can have both. But I think it has to be knowing who and what you're trying to serve. And I do give kudos to those local companies, those local places that, even though they have a corporate name behind them, definitely try to support and get involved in the local area. Okay, so yeah, this is really what our world is like. We are very much different. But to kind of go back, because I will agree with you on something else, I don't even think I've shared this with you. But I had a conversation yesterday with somebody, and we were talking about our family farm. And, we talk a lot about the longevity of our farm and, and what that looks like. And one of the things that we have said, even for you and I, is that we see ourselves right now more as a placeholder, right? Like we are... Right. We are very aware of the legacy and the history that came before us, but honest to goodness, we just want these opportunities to be available for our children, and we are trying to hold the line, if you will. And I had a conversation with somebody yesterday, and I said, we can look at it as two different things. We can look at it as real estate, and if we look at it as real estate, anybody can buy it. Anything can go on it. It can always be, it has a value, absolutely, as real estate. And that's not a wrong way of looking at it, except when you stop and you look at it through the eyes of our children. And I use our children as an example because, my mom just had a water leak in her over 100-year-old house, and we just had to tear up floors and blah, 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 blah. But the flooring that my grandparents put down on that house, great-grandparents, could have easily been discarded as trash, right? Could have easily been discarded and piled up. My children don't see that as trash. My children see that as heritage, as legacy, and as a gift. And so what did we do with that? We
reused it.
We repurposed it, and now it's prominently on the walls. Right. And I think that goes along with how we're seeing this conversation. Like, we can look at things as about money and about real estate and about whatever, until you understand the people that are behind it and the vision behind it. And the vision behind it is the people. Right. And whenever you start understanding and keeping in mind that there are a lot of people who understand that, I use the floor at my mama's house as an example, but it's not in a condition to be a floor anymore. No. Okay? That was not the best use for that land, right? That product. Same thing with where we're going to build data centers, same things where we're going to build neighborhoods, all of that. Okay, the purpose of that real estate may be changing, but we have to make sure that those who invested in it before are preserved, the integrity of that is preserved. And that is a very different conversation.
There was a preacher, you're going to have to remind me because you've reused it several times. It's about prayer.
Said we could pray for a miracle or we could prepare for one. Yeah, we were in a church one time, and it was probably one of the most profound sermons that I've ever been in. But the preacher wanted to grow his church, and what he did was instead of he passed around the offering plate, but instead of everybody putting money in to grow the church, he asked that every family take out $5 from the offering plate, and they gave $5 to everybody. And his sermon was, we can pray for a miracle that's going to come and grow our church, or we can prepare. And so I'm going to equip into you, the people, $5 per family. And you take that $5 and you go and you buy pancake mix and syrup, and you have a pancake dinner with your family and raise $10. Or you pull your $5 together with 5 other families and buy supplies and have a car wash, or whatever that looks like for you. But he gave each family $5 and said, figure out how to grow it and how to make it different. And so, yes, I do. That totally changed my outlook and my attitude about life. But it was, we can pray for miracles or we can prepare for one. And ever since then, I've tried to be a person who prepares for one.
Maybe our leaders should be preparing for one instead of praying for one.
So what would that look like if they did?
I don't know, but the first thing is that your Main Street tells you whether you're alive or whether you're just hanging on. And right now, we're just hanging on.
Okay.
So maybe we need to start with Main Street.
Okay.
Main Street of our town. And prepare. Make it look like that we're not look like. Make it demonstrate, hey, we can handle prosperity. Bring it on. But you're coming into our town, our roots. You're going to assimilate here, but we don't even know who we are anymore, I don't think. We're so divided.
Right. And that's on a lot of different things.
Right.
That's, red, blue, that's color, that's, all of these things that we have tried to divide ourselves with, and none of that matters in the end. Like, none of that is going to be the longevity that's going to keep us together.
I told somebody one time that we've done a good job following the trap of politicians because they want us divided. If we're divided, that means that, and they don't solve any problems, that means that they keep their job because it keeps saying we're fighting for you, but they pit us all together. Maybe we as a community need to prepare for the miracle and define who we are and have that, have that just do it ourselves.
Right. And
I don't know.
I agree completely. I agree, and I think we've talked about this before. But you're right. If somebody would say to, Main Street or, I don't know, anybody, and say, okay, here is our investment into you. Here is our $100 investment into your small business. Now, take it and tell us what you do with it. And let us kind of recirculate. Right. And maybe it doesn't look like a multi-million-dollar lithium battery company coming, and maybe it does or it doesn't look like a data center coming, to our neighborhood. I don't know, but at least what we haven't lost and what we've maintained is our integrity and the core of our most valuable asset, which is our people.
Right.
This is my favorite part of our entire podcast. Everybody knows that. It's kind of that front porch mindset where we slow things down. And the front porch, in my family at least, has always kind of been where yesterday's wisdom and tomorrow's hope kind of meet. And you share the stories. And I remember being on the front porch at my grandma's house, and it's where, neighbors would come over and lean on the rail, share stories, and talk about problems that, quite honestly, Washington or Wall Street can't fix. And so as we kind of slow it down, close it out, whatever, off the front porch, what you thinking?
I'm thinking that Like, seriously and truly, we need to, like, have that conversation of, we need to bring this all together a couple forms. One is, we're raising the next doctors, lawyers, engineers, inventors, but they're not coming home. And we have to fight to bring them home. But why don't we get our Main Street in order and encourage them to come back? Let's have the person who is developing the next data center or the next solar panel or the next lithium battery, let it be from our community, and then help them put it in place. But then also, we need to also look at this, and it's a term that's out there. It hasn't been talked about in our community, but I think it's just because nobody's brought it together. It's called a circular economy.
Okay, I'm not sure I understand what that means.
So, like when I talked about the battery plant.
Okay.
All right. So yes, they're building a building on our land, and they're going to employ people to do a job. But the raw ingredients had to be bought from somewhere else and be transferred in from somewhere else into us, and then the battery leaves us. But if we take and we look at what resources do we have, and we start with our resources and build an infrastructure of a business that we're pulling from our resources and renewable resources, and then interjecting it into a business to make a product, then that money stays here. It isn't a one-time thing. It stays here. And a lot of it is, the tobacco industry was a circular economy.
Okay.
We grew the tobacco here. Next county over, they processed tobacco. A couple of counties north of us, they made the cigarettes.
Right.
Right? So the whole process stayed here, but what did they do? They looked at what do we grow, what is our resource, and they built an infrastructure of business. We're losing sight of that. And so a circular economy is something that we need to have a discussion on, and that benefits everybody. And if you benefit everybody, the conversation stops. The argument stops because, hey, they get a little piece of the action.
I mean, totally agree with that. And, I think that even, and again, I'm not an economist. I don't necessarily understand a lot. But there's such a push politically to make our communities a manufacturing kind of hub or make us focused on manufacturing when I don't know if that is the identity of our community. But what I know is that we have, if we call manufacturing, the family that has been in business for over 100 years, that grows the cotton, that makes the socks, that is totally going through that whole process, and they are trying to create a circular mindset, if you will. Like, that's manufacturing, but that's manufacturing at a completely different level than what our current economic development is leading us to.
Right, and that's where, that was exactly in my mind where we were going. We have it. We have a position on it in our community, but there's no investment in it.
Right.
And the community says, hey, good job. Congratulations. Love your socks. But
if they shut down and if they went away, we would be devastated, right? Like, and everybody would be on social media and they would say, oh, how tragic, oh, how sad. But what are we doing on a consistent day-to-day, economic vision to support that? Right. One of the other industries that we talk about, that we are located strategically on the Tar River, and we talk about, boating and fishing, and, that's a big part of our economy. And you did not realize.
Right there, we have a boat manufacturer in our town.
And you did not realize that.
No. Been here 25 years, never seen it before in my life.
And again, they are just, I knew about it. And they're hiring great people and doing great things. But, again, what would happen if we said, let us, support you and help you and give back into what you're doing.
Right. And then you even brought up, so the lineman school.
Right.
And excuse me, coughed on you again. The lineman school, you said that there are people coming from other states into here.
Right.
And then they're learning, we're teaching them on how to be electrical linemen, but then where are they going?
They're going back. Yeah, I have 3 former students who are right now at the Nash County, which is, again, one of our counties,
Right.
Lineman program. And they said that a lot of people come from out of state, like western parts of the state, stay here, take their training, and then go back to do that. And I had a great conversation with somebody of high authority at Edgecombe Community College, who said that over half of the students enrolled in Edgecombe Community College are not from Edgecombe County. Okay, so I mean, over half are not enrolled. So if that's the case, then if we were to take, and again, I'm using an example, a boat manufacturing, a cotton, I don't know what any of that looks like, but along those same lines, you actually have a great industry kind of model, if you will, that could tie a lot of this together with the right forward thinking. Right.
Yep. And so it's taking the equipment that we've worked with the folks in Ireland with, and taking our ag waste and turning it into an energy source.
So now, and again, this is just one conversation, and we're not saying it's the end and the answer, but what we do know is we have farmers.
Right.
We have,
we have waste.
We have manufacturing. We have waste.
Right.
We have rivers that are being polluted by waste because that's being outsourced in other places. And quite honestly, we have an expert, and I yield to you with that. We have an expert in that is doing a lot of things for other communities and other industries, but nobody in our community is asking or having that conversation about what that looks like for rural America and how we could capitalize on that. And this is not a self-seeking kind of conversation as far as Patrick or Amy. This is just understanding that if this is who we are, what other hidden gems are in our community that really could use the investment.
We don't want the handout. Here as politicians, we don't want the handout. We just want a fair shot. And, and the fair shot is giving us a chance. Like I said, we have experts in our community. Just stop and listen to those experts. And again, what does it look like? We don't know, but there is some way that we can integrate all this expertise into an engine that is driving. But we got to have moments in time where we stop and we do that. And I mean, like I had the conversation I had with the fella about our waste. Edgecombe County, our county is in much like most of the counties in rural America. It's been 25 years or more when their landfills were last done. We haven't even had that conversation. Where's the next landfill going? Because we're about full. Or what are we doing? And like I learned, our freaking waste, part of our waste going to Hereford County, next county over. So I sat with the guy and said, we can utilize this equipment, we can put this waste in, and then we can get energy, and then that energy can power data center or can power manufacturing, power our schools.
So it sounds to me like what you're saying is we can pray for a miracle or we can prepare for
Right.
a miracle. And what we are asking for in rural America is that our politicians and our elected officials and our communities get behind the mindset that we need to prepare for
And
one.
this isn't just an Edgecombe County issue.
Absolutely not.
This is a rural America issue.
Absolutely. From Yellowstone to, the tar rivers of Edgecombe County to, all of the things in between, we've got men and women who definitely need that fair shot to make a difference.
The front porch is where yesterday's wisdoms and tomorrow's hopes sit side by side.
Just like our front porch.
From Yellowstone's geysers to our own front porch, the story is the same. It's about legacy.
What do we protect? What do we build? And most importantly, what do we pass on?
Thanks for pulling up a chair with us on Rural Roots and Cowboy Boots.
Don't forget, you can catch every episode on Spotify and YouTube and share it with a friend who loves the good life as much as you do.
Rural roots in cowboy boots, laughter and love where the dirt runs deep. The door may fly, but the bond won't break. Welcome to the good life, it's ours to keep.